So I'm so delighted to be here with all of you. It's really a fun time when I get to sit with all of you, get to know you better, get to know what your day is like here, what your work is like here, but also get to know you on a personal level. It's just really, really fun for me. And one of the fun questions that I like to ask, because it really tells me a little bit about you, is why did you become a nurse? What made you go into nursing?
Go ahead and start. It wasn't fulfilling. My other job wasn't fulfilling. And so I just felt like I had a calling to take care of people. And once I got to do that, it was very fulfilling for me. I worked for General Service Administration.
Okay.
And I did the contracting to building, all the work for all the government buildings. And I worked for the Department of Justice, and I worked with travel for them. And so it just didn't hit that personal fulfillment to help.
Sure. My grandmother was a huge influence on my decision to become a nurse. She volunteered for the VA countless hours when she was an older adult, and when she became ill, it was during college. I was studying communication with the intention to go into law school, and my final semester was when she took a turn for the worse. And she always took care of me, and as she grew older, I took care of her. But when she was at the end of her life and in the ICU, seeing how the nurses cared for her and also how smart and knowledgeable they were, I was very impressed. And that was really the turning point. I decided to do a total 180 and start my nursing prerequisites. And I entered nursing as a second degree and now have my master's in nursing. So I hope I did right by my grandmother.
Thank you, did. Yes, exactly.
So grandmas do know best, I guess. But I grew up around my step-grandmother, which was a home health aide. So she used to tag us along with her since she was going to people's homes sometimes, because we would visit every summer in Carolinas. So that started that little niche to start, caring about people. And it was just a little passion of mine, too, then also. But then I experienced it for myself. I had a son that had a brain tumor that when he was born, so we had some traveling from North Carolina, from Charlotte to Durham to Duke University. So I was really, really impressed with the nurses there that took care of him.
Danny, what about you?
Well, mine started in California and LA. I was a computer programming major. Left the house, couldn't put myself to school, so I joined the Navy, United States Navy. I became a hospital corpsman. I served for 4 years, took care of wounded warriors, soldiers and Marines that came from Afghanistan with multiple amputees. That's when it hit me that, I need to make a difference. So after I did my service, I went back to school, finished my associates, took the NCLEX, and became a nurse. And now I'm graduating BSN in January.
Very good. That's great.
That's pretty much how my nursing career started.
Where were you stationed in the Navy?
I was stationed here in Walter Reed. It used to be National Naval Medical Center back then. I was there during the merger, so it was kind of tough between the Navy and Army people. It's a lot of competition.
Yeah, I was at Walter Reed at that same time, so I'm sure that our paths crossed during that time.
Yep.
What I'm taking from the stories that you've given is how you were maybe going down a different path, and experiences you had either personally or with someone in your family really led your path towards healthcare. It just shows the great examples that nurses are for people, not just from the acute care. I mean, that's what we think of from a hospital perspective, but also at those times when we've decided that continuing to drive on with care maybe isn't the right thing to do. Maybe putting an LVAD in a patient or continuing with all the drips isn't the right thing, that we need to make sure that the patient is comfortable, that the family is comfortable with the decision is made. That's the hard thing, making that transition towards appropriate end-of-life care. And I think that as an organization, the impact that nurses have on that is unmeasurable, because you're the ones that are at the bedside 24/7. My mother was a nurse. My mother-in-law was a nurse. I have several cousins that are nurses, and it was always ingrained in me that patients are admitted to the hospital for one thing. That's nursing care. The docs rotate through, everybody else rotates through, but the people that are there at the bedside making a difference every day are our nursing staff. And I think your stories of how you got into nursing in the first place are just reflective of your experiences and what you bring to the care that you provide every day.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that every day you take great care of our patients and the families. And every day is not always the best day. Every day is not always a good day. And so there's some tough days in there. And I know you get through the tough days with as much diligence as you possibly can. But what makes you stay? What makes you say, I know this was a tough day, but I'm still going to be here for the patients and the families and my colleagues and peers in the organization? What makes you stay?
Teamwork. The teamwork on our unit is really great. I mean, we really stick together. We're always asking and passing, you okay? Things of that nature. So it leads me to an example that we had a few weeks ago that I was busy day shift as usual, but at the end of the day shift, we had two rapids simultaneously. Like, we call rapid here and rapid here. We were like, oh my goodness. So, but it was just amazing to me how the team just broke up into different sections and make sure everybody was okay. And then some of them, stayed on the floor to make sure the other patients were okay, like answering call bells and stuff like that. But it was just really, really good. To end that story, they also, after I left at 7, well, I left about 8:30 p.m. that night, they had another rapid and a code blue that night after I left, though. But it was just the teamwork. Teamwork it makes me come back. I'm like, okay, we can do this together as a team.
Yeah, I can totally relate to what she just said. A couple months back, we had 2 code blues, 1 rapid and 1 code bird back to back. The code blues were simultaneously, so we had to divide the team into 2 to make sure that one room is getting covered and the other one is getting covered as well. But if you guys were there, and you guys watch us how we do all the things together, you'll see how the teamwork is really, it's really there. Like, we put our hearts into it. We, although some of the results may not be what we really wanted, but the fact that there's a teamwork really just, makes a difference for everyone. And just looking after each other, making sure that they're okay, that that their needs are being addressed as well. That's one of the reasons why I would say I'm gonna go further, and I'm gonna keep on coming back and do what I do, because that's what I want to do.
Yeah, yeah. Sounds like the team and the patients make you stay. Yeah.
Well, the patient as well. I mean,
Patients first.
Yeah.
when you deal with a patient, including their families, every time that you do something, even though it's it's as simple as getting a cup of water for them. The fact that they would really appreciate you and would say thank you even through small things, it kind of melts your heart in a way, and it makes you feel good, and it makes you even strive harder to do even better in your nursing career.
Yeah.
So that's what keeps me going day by day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I completely agree. 2 Northwest, where I work, is often a unit of last resort for some of our patients, just because they come to us after extensive open heart surgeries and vascular procedures, and they also come for management of very advanced therapies. And just knowing when we have these very sick patients, you can count on not only your nurses to manage the care of the patient, but to make sure that we have everything that we need, to make sure that the communication between the different teams on the unit is facilitated, and then also, regardless of the outcome, just knowing that your fellow coworkers, they have your back, and that you can talk to them about some of the extraordinary and mind-blowing things that you may have just seen, things that your own family may not even be able to understand or comprehend. That really is what keeps me coming back.
Yeah, to me, it's very heartwarming that you talk about team. As you know, the one team mantra is one that we've been discussing here at the hospital center. And what I'm also very pleased about is you're talking about a variety of teams. You know, you're talking about the healthcare team providing care for the patient, organizing yourself into teams when there are multiple things going on. But just as importantly, you're talking about yourselves as a team, looking after each other, having each other's back, making sure that in these stressful situations, and these situations, like you mentioned, sometimes don't always turn out with a favorable result. For a nurse, it may be the first time they've ever cared for a patient who's died. And you know, that can be a very traumatic situation, and ensuring that you have each other's backs. You know, we say, if you see something, say something. That may not be talking about a suitcase that's left unattended. That may be about one of your colleagues.
Absolutely. I think all of you mentioned teamwork, your colleagues. That's why you return. You know, you do have to enjoy who you work with every day to keep coming back, and you know they always have your back. So that's actually key and critical to me too. So I know you guys have many moments, rewarding shifts, days. I know we create miracles here, but if you could think back, what is your most rewarding moment with a patient and or family here?
I had one. We had a patient that transferred from 2EI from the neuro floor. The neuro floor. She had a craniectomy, so she had some, other surgeries. And the most rewarding, because she came to us on a trach and everything, the cranie. The most rewarding thing to me was to see her getting up to the bedside commode at the end. Trach was removed, getting up to the bedside commode, and then going to NRH for further care. That was so rewarding, because if you would have seen her at the beginning, you would have been like, there's no way. I never say there's no way, but I mean, other people may have looked at it like, she's not going to. But she progressed. She was calling names, eating. I mean, everything. It was very rewarding to see her recover like that.
Who is so critically ill, and you think that they are at the end of their life when they turn around and then they come to visit you wearing normal street clothes on the unit, and you do a double take.
Yes.
People look so different when they're doing better and well, but that really does hammer home the point of why we do what we do.
Right. It does. Yeah.
And I think that's invaluable for people that have had catastrophic either accidents or illnesses. You only see them in a certain part of the care, and when you can bring them back a year or two later to actually see them in a much better state, it really is rewarding. I've had the opportunity to take some patients back to the neuro ICU to see the nurses there, and they just go crazy. They love it, because like with the cardiac patients, you say there's really no way that this person is going to be able to return to any normal function, and when they are, it really shows you how valuable what you do is.
I'm sure with the NICU, you have
I was
success
sitting
stories
here
as well.
trying to figure out how can I just single out one
moment.
and one
so
moment,
many, yeah.
because it takes so many moments to make that moment. But when you say they came back to the nursery, when they function and walk as if there was never a a preemie or had anything wrong with them, to smile, to laugh, to look normal, to play, to skate, play football, to be in a recite. Exactly. All those moments, and you look at them like, ooh, how many times did you try to die on me? And it's just like, and you look and you're just like, oh my God, your heart is so filled with so many moments when you saw them, and you, as they develop and come back, and you look at them, you remember them one way, and then you watch them into a normal life setting, and it's just like, oh my God, we did good. You did good.
I had a couple rewarding moments with me as well. One of them actually was a family member of one of the patients that I took care of before. So she was discharged basically a little over a year, and it just so happens that it was one of our PCM's birthday. So they only brought one food for everyone. So when that family member all of a sudden just showed up into our unit with multiple trays, and and I saw her, and I was like, hey, how you doing? How's your family member doing? And then she just told me that, oh, actually just stopped by here to drop off these food because I remember you took care of my sister. And that's when it hit me, the small things, like I said earlier, the small things that you do for the patient can impact in a bigger way, whereas they remember the care that you give to them and the family members, and they reward you, even in a little offering like food, and it kind of just breaks your heart, like it's a good feeling. And then
from joy.
From joy, yes, that's what I meant. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you guys don't always know the positive impact that you have on patients, families, especially when you've given them such compassionate care and just treated their loved ones like they're a member of your family. It's really a positive impact on all the patients that we care for. I have a question for you. So I have a 17-year-old daughter, and she's a senior in high school, and she wants to be a nurse. And so, because I'm the mom, I don't really have that. My advice is not that great. I have to get it from someone else. So if you were talking to her, what will you tell her? What does it take? What does she need to have to be a nurse?
I think that she should, living with her mom, so that's a nurse, but just have that compassion. Never leave that. Never think of, like we spoke of before, it's not about the money or things of that nature. It's about caring for the people. It's about caring and giving. You get it back wherever way you get it back, but just giving and giving yourself to that family, that person in need, whatever the situation may be. Yeah. So just that compassion. Yeah. That's what I would encourage her to have, most definitely, that compassion to become a nurse.
I would just ask her, what is she looking for? It's a rewarding career, but what type of lifestyle do you want? What do you have to give? What are you willing to give?
Yeah, good advice. Yep. Any advice on this side?
People who ask me, they want to be a nurse. They tell me they want to be a nurse. They want to be like, me and other nurses as well. Basically, I only asked them same question: why do you want to be a nurse? So there are people who became nurses just for, just to get in the work, get out of the work, get paid. But it has something to be that you really want to do. You can't be a person that you don't want to be in the first place. So you have to have the passion of taking care of others. You have to have the courage to make sure that you deliver what needs to be addressed for them. And that's basically just, I would ask my daughter. My daughter always tells me that she wants to be a nurse, but whenever we go to the doctor's office, she hates the doctors. That's like, how can you be a nurse if you don't like the doctors in the first place? Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Kelly, any advice from you?
I agree with everything everyone has said, and to piggyback on that, you know, not only asking what your motivation is to be a nurse, but to say that it may not be the easiest job, but it's a challenging job in the best way possible. You'll always learn something new. You'll always be surprised at what people are capable of showing you, and not only personally, but then you learn a lot about yourself too. I love nursing because it's a flexible job. You do make a lot of sacrifices to be a nurse, but I wouldn't go back and change anything.
So it sounds like she needs to be caring, compassionate, resilient, diligent, and flexible, and just understand what her patients need from her, and to try to balance that.
It's not a shift job. I mean, like you said, not 9 to 5. I think we had some of the examples earlier where things happened at shift change. It's not a job where you can just say, I'm clocking out, I'm done. You're there for your patients and for each other from that. And it's a profession. It is a profession.
Yeah, you're so right, Greg. Yeah.
A very rewarding profession to me. I mean, you're always learning. It's always something to learn. So always. Yeah. And I drive off of that too. So if you want to be a continuous adult learner, that's what nursing is the area for it.
It is so rewarding. When you say rewarding and when you learn, you're not just learning from the experience of taking care of that person. You learn from the families. You learn from your coworkers. You learn wherever you are in life, how you perceive change. You learn the evidence base and actually putting it into practice. And you're just like, oh, wow, yes, that works. Look at them. You can get a lot out of it. Are you willing to put in the work?
Absolutely. Well, it's great advice. I'm going to make sure she knows that it didn't come from me. It came from all of you so that she'll listen to it. But I am just so delighted to have spent this time with you. Just great to get to know all of you, and not only professionally but personally. You're a great group of nurses, and I know you're representative of all the great talented nurses that we have here. And I am just so glad to be a member of the team.
And for those of us that aren't at the bedside anymore, it really is just so exciting and rewarding to see you, see your energy, see your enthusiasm, because you are living there at the bedside, at the front lines of things, providing that high quality and safe care that we're striving for, and to ensure that the experience of the patients and the families is the best it can possibly be. I say that every day at the hospital center is an opportunity to excel. And you've articulated that well. You come into it saying, I don't know what's going to be in front of me today, but I'm going to have a great attitude, I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to enjoy the people around me. Because in many cases, you spend more time with your teammates than you do with family and friends. So you want to enjoy it, and it's so rewarding to hear those stories from you. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all so very much. So nice to meet all of you. Oh, okay. Fantastic.